Um, one of the things that, like, just in line of what we're talking about universities and things, is I've been reading about Yale and other universities, Columbia, Yale. They want to decolonize the English department. They want to get rid of Shakespeare and Chaucer and Milton because these were white, straight men of privilege and power. And it is triggering students, and it's offensive to minorities to be studying them. I'm really worried, as someone who really enjoys philosophy and literature and the arts, and I know you do, is that we are destroying our civilization. We are destroying the arts. We're destroying literature, and the consequences of that will not be good.
Well, let's take a place like Yale, where well, the English literature departments were the first places, especially at Yale, where the postmodernists sort of came ashore. Eh? So the English department at Yale has plenty of sins on its conscience. My new book is 12 Rules for Life, and the rules were derived from a larger list of 40 that I placed on a site called Quora. And one of those rules was, opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abandoned. And I think the thing about great literature and philosophy is that it can stand on its own merits. And so what will happen is that if people stop being exposed to it at universities, if students go in and then demand that they remain uneducated, is that there'll be other providers of that service that will emerge so that people can learn about what they need to learn about in alternative ways. Like, I mean, I think the response to my biblical lectures is a good example of that.
Yeah.
Well,
you might have to start teaching Milton and Blake, Dr. Peterson.
Well, I'd love to teach Blake or both Blake and Milton, and maybe that'll happen. But the thing is that I don't think that we can actually destroy great literature, because it is actually great. And so if you're not exposed to it, then that actually hurts you. And I think that a good teacher can demonstrate to willing students that their lives will be immeasurably enriched by exposure to those sorts of classics. And if the teachers can't demonstrate that, well, then they're really not worth their salt.
Yeah, well, that's the other sad thing. A lot of the faculty's on board with decolonizing the English department.
Well, that's because it's a lot easier to teach idiot postmodern theory, which you can pick up in about a week, than it is to devote your life to the study of something as complex, say, as Milton's Paradise Lost, which is deep beyond, well, it's a lifetime's work. That it takes a lifetime of study to start understanding what that poem represents.
And we've never had a better playwright in human history than Shakespeare. I can't even imagine Shakespeare being eliminated from English departments.
Well, I just don't think it's possible. What will happen is, the thing is that Shakespeare is greater than English departments. So if the English departments abandon Shakespeare, all that means is that they'll doom themselves to irrelevance, because you can't be an English department and abandon Shakespeare. That doesn't work.
No, you're right.
So I think what we're watching in some sense is the death throes of the humanities, insofar as they're instantiated in the university. But that doesn't mean that there's nowhere else for people to go. And I think online video and podcasts provide an unbelievable opportunity for educators who actually want to go direct to students who are hungry to learn.